It's creating an issue, and it's this. It's slippery, it's freezing over, and as fun as it is to slide on the sidewalk, it will be not as much fun to drive on these streets.
While it's only an issue with space here, the Public School Forum says there are 4,000 physical education jobs as well as art jobs. But what shoppers are telling me is they're just now running out of the groceries they got 2 weeks ago when we had our last storm. Just breaking the commandment, thou shalt not steal, but breaking into these cars, stealing things like cash.
Sean, they better have another snow day because it's still snowing here, and to add insult to injury, just about an hour ago, it looked like it had cleared up, and now it's coming down as hard as ever. But you know what? Even though it's still snowing, even though it's still cold, it's not keeping these students in their dorms or their apartments. They're excited. They're out here, and you know what? Businesses are still open too. This, though, is not what we saw across the entire triangle. It's much different in other parts of our area.
I've got snow in my boots.
What's a snow day without some good old-fashioned sledding? And that's exactly what kids did in Cary.
So over here we have like this ramp.
Doesn't look like much of a ramp to me, Graham. It kind of looks like a bump.
I mean, it keeps on getting like destroyed every time we go down.
But Graham Oaf and his friends still were able to get the most out of their bump. More than I could. However, a lot of work had to get done too. 250 Town of Cary employees worked morning, noon, and night to clear the roads. But that's not an invitation to go get in your car.
Stay off the road, let us do what we need to do.
In Raleigh, people still use the roads, just not the way you'd expect.
There's no cars on the street and there's less snow in the middle of the street, so I figured, and also all laws are off bound once it snows, you know?
Well, I don't know about that. But Manahil Amin isn't from Raleigh, so things may be different in Washington, D.C., where she lives. Laws are still on, but some things in Raleigh are off.
We don't have power at our house, so I was on this mission to get food for my roommates and I.
So they sent the person who doesn't live in Raleigh out to get food.
Yeah, I realized this afterwards, but I like the snow. I haven't left the house all day.
Amin raced back home so her takeout food wouldn't get cold. She promised me she wouldn't break any laws on the way. And as this snow keeps falling onto the ground, it's creating an issue, and it's this. It's slippery, it's freezing over, and as fun as it is to slide on the sidewalk, it will be not as much fun to drive on these streets. But you know what is fun? All these guys just found out they don't have school until at least Friday. Reporting live here in Chapel Hill, I'm AJ Janavel for CBS North Carolina.
The bread aisle is always a popular stop for shoppers with the possibility of snow on the horizon. But what shoppers are telling me is they're just now running out of the groceries they got 2 weeks ago when we had our last storm.
Well, they say snow is coming.
Milk, eggs, and of course bread, the essential grocery items for a possible snow day. But shoppers in Tarboro are looking to add a little extra flair to their menu this winter storm.
French fries and some shrimp. Guys, just something to throw in the microwave in case the boys are home at lunch.
Michael Cannon has his 7-year-old twins at home waiting for him. He tells me eggs and milk just doesn't cut it for his kids' lunch. And Lisa Powell also broke the mold on the typical snow day grocery run.
Then Knowledge wanted Hot Pockets, so.
Powell and her son Knowledge, of course, made sure to get the basics. Better to be safe than sorry, they say.
I don't think we're gonna get a lot, but you can never tell. Because last time I didn't think it was gonna be a lot, and we got a good amount.
But this time around, they're pros at the snow day grocery game. And Knowledge is making sure his mom gets the fun stuff too. Powell says even though this is her second time shopping for winter weather in 2 weeks, she doesn't mind the forecast.
And what do you think of that we're getting snow twice in?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah?
I love it.
In Edgecombe County, AJ Janavel for CBS North Carolina. Here's the church, here's the steeple, and here's the parking lot where Johnson County Sheriff's officials say Chester Bass stole from the people.
When she got to her car, her window was broken.
While the men and women of Stones Creek Advent Church were here behind me honoring the Sabbath day, law enforcement say Chester Bass was out here not just breaking the commandment, thou shalt not steal, but breaking into these cars, stealing things like cash, credit cards, and even cell phones. In total, law enforcement says he got away with about $2,000 worth of goods.
Lock the door now.
Alma McLam was at church when it happened. She tells me it looked like someone rifled through her car too.
It's sad that things like that are happening now.
Law enforcement says Bass hit 2 other churches on his crime spree. The question is, what kind of person can steal from churchgoers?
Nice guy, funny, good with kids. Seemed pretty okay.
Tiffany too tells me when she found out law enforcement suspected her roommate, the man her family let stay under her roof and stay with her kids, for these crimes, she couldn't believe it.
It's crazy because, it doesn't seem like he would do that.
Two tells me she has not heard from Bass since, and law enforcement says they need your help to find him. If you have any information, contact the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. Amy Davis is a music teacher at Forest View Elementary in Durham. She's taught there for 15 years, but this year is very different.
This is my cart because I don't have a music room this year.
Now, she has to carry all of her music, instruments, and lessons from class to class.
And I have to navigate through a lot of children in the hall too. It's really a hardship.
Our teachers work hard to make it work.
Forest View Elementary Principal Neil Clay tells me, due to classroom size mandates, they've been forced to use every nook and cranny to teach kids.
We have had to create small classroom spaces in the hallways. We teach children here.
And while it's only an issue with space here, the Public School Forum says there are 4,000 physical education jobs as well as art jobs that are on the chopping block next year because they aren't funded.
We figure that surely the legislature is not going to let this thing drag on.
Keith Poston is the president of the Public School Forum of North Carolina. He tells me he thought lawmakers would have fixed this problem months ago.
It's impossible. The legislature is going to have to do something both with funding and timing on this issue, and they need to do it soon.
So you want to see what I have to do to get my cart in here?
Reporting for CBS North Carolina, I'm AJ Janavel. Music filled the Duke Energy Center after a full day of events celebrating the life of Martin Luther King Jr. Piano, guitar, and drums lifted people out of their seats, but the most powerful music came from one of the smallest performers.
I love singing.
Nervous, singing in front of hundreds, but you'd never be able to tell. 9-year-old Dweed Strong tells me music is his life, but he says Monday is more than just about the music.
We get to sing for him on his day.
Strong and the dozens of other kids in the Martin Luther King Jr. choir led the night. Organizers say this is exactly how MLK should be remembered.
We're coming together as one, as Dr. King saw us. Black, whites, Jews and Gentiles, men and women, all coming together.
Mark Gibson is a member of the board for the Triangle Martin Luther King Jr. Committee. He has helped put on this show for the last 4 years. Gibson tells me whether it's 50 years of celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.'s life or 100, the message will always remain.
The dream will never die as long as we have strength to love and courage to act.
And the music will go on too. Reporting in Raleigh, AJ Janavel for CBS North Carolina.